I know I'm not the center of the universe, but you keep spinning around me just the same. I know I'm not the center of the universe, but you keep spinning around me just the same. I'm holding on. Why is everything so heavy? I'm holding on. Just so much more than I can carry.
Hi guys, I'm Leighann from the Real School of Music, and I am here with the Jenna Holiday. Thank you so much for coming and letting me interview you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So, you've been a Real School student for quite some time. When did you start here and what made you come here?
So I actually started a long time ago at the Bradford School of Music.
Okay.
Before Real School here was a thing, and I started with Jim Zarulis there. When it became the Real School of Music, it was so convenient because I live in Andover, so the 30-minute drive became like 5 minutes.
Oh, sweet.
So I've just been coming here since. I started playing piano when I was younger. I remember I started doing a group lesson, which was exactly what you can imagine it was. It was just 8 kids in a room with keyboards and a Russian instructor who's standing there holding up a flashcard for about 3 seconds, putting it down and being like, what is the note? And me with undiagnosed ADHD and like a little bit blind in my eyes was like, what's going on the whole time? And that was just not a fit. But I did like piano. I really wanted to quit when I was younger because I hated the lessons. But my parents decided maybe I should just get a one-on-one like thing, and eventually that's how I found Jim. And from then on, I've loved piano, and it's just been a big part of my life. As for singing, I never saw myself as a singer until I realized that, you know, it's something that I really enjoy as much as piano. I always thought of my singing voice as the instrument for me to communicate songs I'd write. So it'd just be, I have to sound good, I have to sing well in order for my songs to sound good. And then recently I've just started realizing I love singing, and I consider myself a singer too now.
So you do a lot of songwriting, and I feel like more recently it's been, you know, blowing up for you, and that's been something that you've maybe done your whole life.
It's weird because I've pretty much written songs my entire life, and I can't really even think of like a starting point. Even before I wrote my first official song, I just walk around the house singing random lyrics and words. And it was just something, it was second nature. I just did it naturally. A couple years ago I wrote a song that I really liked, and my dad was like, wait, this is good. Like, this is a song, like this is structured, you could release this. And so for the past 2 years or so, it's just been more like, now everyone hears it. But it's really just been something I've done my whole life, and I don't see myself stopping. Music has been a really positive thing in my life because I feel like it's given me this sense of consistency whenever anything happens in my life. Music is somehow connected. If I'm traveling somewhere, music is always, I'm always listening to music. I'm always thinking about music, and I'll literally be doing anything. I'll think something in my head, and I'll say something and be like, that's a lyric. And it's just got to the point where music is just so embedded in everything I do. It's never been a negative thing. It's always been something really positive.
So who are the people who have been most supportive of your musical goals?
People that have been most supportive of my musical goals would have to be, of course, first and foremost, my family, my parents. They have told me countless times that don't worry about anything, just do music, or we'll support you. We'll put money that, like, we didn't realize we'd have to spend on this for you. We'd put it into anything that you need because they really do truly believe in what I do. That has been the biggest thing. They've told me countless times that they really want me and my brother to pursue careers that make us happy and to do something that we love. So I think they're really, really on board with music and me doing it all the time. My dad the other day was just like, don't worry about getting a job or doing the teenage things, like just write songs, that's your job. And for my parents to like take our time we usually spend on vacation and instead go to LA and help me and bring me to meetings and do things like that, it's awesome. And everyone here has also been really great too, since I've been with this school for such a long time, that it's almost like I come in and Jim has become less of a piano teacher and more of a mentor. I'll go in and just rant, because he's the only person who really understands the music thing. That everyone in my life, of course, they know about it, but Jim, like, he's been there, and he understands music. I can rant to him about a chord progression that I hate, and he gets it.
Who are some of your heroes? Who are you inspired by?
All of the musical influences throughout my life. songs I hear and I'll immediately go and search out the person who wrote it. And I'll look into what they do, how they live their life, anything to see if I can figure out how they did it.
Why do you think you've done so well in music?
I can't see myself doing anything else. I've considered it a lot. What would I do if I didn't do music?
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because I don't think I do anything but music. No matter what happens, I'm gonna end up somewhere in the music industry, and where things are heading now, it's happening already.
It's coming.
It just hasn't really been that much of a surprise to me. It just felt like it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
I'm just really thankful. I'm like ready to like get down into it, like make it a job and like do it full time, and I'm just excited for it.
What advice would you give to aspiring musicians who want to better their skills?
I've learned so much more in piano, in singing, in songwriting from simply loving it and doing it.
Yeah.
Like Jim could give me all these classical pieces to work on. Would I do them? Probably not. Would I do it in the lesson? Probably, but would I learn much from it? Not really. I've learned that I don't like classical pieces. I've learned that I'd much rather listen to them than play them. But my knowledge of where notes are in the piano, like it's developed. It's kind of crazy. I never saw myself as someone who'd be able to sit down and like solo. That was completely like out of the picture. And now when I write songs, I just press record and like I know where to go. I know where to, I'll be like, oh, I need this chord next. And like I've memorized the way the piano works. Not because I've just like commanded myself to sit there and like do chords and scales, circles of fifths. Like it's never been that. It's just been, if I want to be able to enjoy this as much as possible, let's make it as easy as possible. So for anyone who wants to pursue music or do music, it's just, you've really got to find time for yourself to enjoy it. And it doesn't have to be a classical piece. It doesn't have to be a violin. You can find it in anything, and I've learned the most about it from myself and just doing it. And another big thing is knowing that the people in your life, your instructors here, they also can teach you a lot more than just music. Like if you want to do different things in your music, never be afraid to ask your instructors weird little things. Like I ask Jim weird questions all the time. Even if it's not related, just never be afraid to go to them, to ask them things that you think you're going to need to know, because it could be important. Being an advocate for yourself and using the resources you have is so important. And I really wish I had treated it more as a resource and less as like a practice your piano or do this or that.
So out of everything you've done, which at this point has been starting to be quite a list, what have been your most memorable experiences in music?
Definitely the first most memorable thing was doing the Queen Tribute Ensemble performance I did recently. And that was a really fun thing through the Real School. We've worked really, really hard, and a lot of people enjoyed it, and we were able to raise money for cancer. And it was a very, very different thing than I've done, because I do a lot of just solo things or things that aren't really based around like a prompt or a theme. So doing something like, I love Queen now more than I did before. I have such a newfound respect for everything they do. And so like I'll hear a Queen song on the radio and be like, I know the parts in this song. Like, it's fun. That was such a really fun experience. It was like taking music and bringing it up to the level of doing a play or something.
When you could settle down downtown, walking with your childhood friends, well, that's long since ended. 'Cause now everywhere you walk's on a red carpet, everywhere you go's on a white rocket, filling up rooms and everybody's talking. You have more than enough for that Saint Laurent jacket. Stop piling up, you've no room to stack it. You want to bring love, there's no room to pack it. Lock your strings, see what's up in an upright position. You better listen, 'cause your passport's full to 15-year-old ambition and your wishes.
A big experience had to be the tree lighting I did in Boston this winter. Because I won Kara DioGuirdi's Ogunquit New England Sings competition, I got to perform an original song on TV in front of a ton of people in Boston for the annual tree lighting ceremony. I feel like that was a milestone in my musical career course, it was my first televised thing. And then it was in front of a ton of people, which was fun because you can't see any of them when the lights are in your face.
Yes.
So it just feels like you're on a stage with a great sound system. You can hear the bass really well, and it sounds like the recording because it's so crystal clear. It just becomes fun.
The funniest part of that whole night was we waited all night. I ran so fast up this hallway to get all of your instructors because Matthew didn't want to miss it, and Danny didn't want to miss it, and Matt Fisher and Jim Zaroulis, and I grabbed them all, and actually they brought all their students with them, and there was maybe 40 of us in the lobby, silent, and we had the TV turned up, and I was like, look, it's Jenna, and we were so proud. And maybe an hour or so later, I watched the same pink jacket run by the window. And I was like, no, that can't be. You came running in, you're like, I have Queen rehearsal. It just ran back and went to rehearsal, and I was like, that is a really cool kid. I was like, how
My
cool
parents
is
were like,
that?
do you want to go to Queen? And I was like, oh my gosh, I could go.
I have time.
So I was like, I can do it. It's just, I really, really like the idea of just for a second returning to this routine.
All right, well, it was wonderful talking to you. I'm so excited to see where the future takes you, and thank you so much for coming and letting me interview you.
Thank you for having me. This has been so fun.
Anytime. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.